G'day punters, welcome to Victims of the Punt, the show where we review the Sydney racing with an eye to finding out if we were victors or victims from the weekend. And I'll start with Mark Shean. You had a decent result there on the weekend in the Golden Slipper with the futures bets, Mark. They lobbed for you.
Yes, normally they're there running second or something. There's a bad beat, but anyway, I got plenty of races wrong through the day, so I needed it.
Something anyway. Mark Rhoden, it was a strong day's racing in the end, and going back and having a look at some of the figures as well, there's been some pretty impressive performances across the card.
Certainly have. The last two winners probably the most impressive in the Eduardo and Seasons were both outstanding wins, really. Credit to the club for getting the track in such magnificent order too. It's really been about a 5-6, I think, after the torrential rain they had last week. It's a remarkable effort.
Absolutely. And here he is. He's coming off arguably what was a career best performance at Rosehill. May not have got the results on the scoreboard from his point of view on that day, but Rob Scurry just come back and just completely knocked it out of the park on the biggest day of the year.
Yeah, well, the championships might be the biggest. Oh, let's not forget Everest. But yeah, look, traditionally a hard day and a day that I've rarely, I've been happy to kind of break square on. So just why I love the punt. Race 1, I was in the doldrums, and race 8, Eduardo Nash sitting there at the 300. I was howling at the moon, man. I knew it was home.
Completely killed them. Look, let's start at race 1. Let's talk about the Darby Munro over 1200. Isotopes just edged out Odium in what was an evenly run race, 0.2 lengths fast to 600 on punting forms data. Rob, run us through the yard, because obviously this is one of the races on the card, one of the abnormalities, one of the races you didn't have a result.
Oh, I was flat, mate. I went again on the corner because I thought it was probably going to be off the fence in the straight. So I backed Andermatt and Mabusha, and a little bit on Doubtland too. And yeah, look, I thought the Sydney horses looked better than the imports, and the Sydney horses usually win these races. Isotope looked fit and well and behaving well, but she just looked kind of smallish to me. Odium, quality type, but they all presented really well here. I'm really interested in what Mark Shean thinks of Private Eye, because he's been on it since it was a maideno or whatever, a lowly rated horse. But yeah, look, Andermatt couldn't have paraded any better. I thought it was weak as water. I was really, really, really hurting.
Okay, Mark Shean, what did you think of Private Eye, and then also Marbusha? I'm keen to get your thoughts on that galloper.
Yeah, the Private Eye, to my eye, sweated up a lot worse than he had in the past, and then he got a bad check halfway through the race, which I'm not sure that he was travelling well enough at the time, but he did make ground again at the finish, so I wouldn't exactly sell him out. He did sweat up at Gosford before he won first up last time, but he was much worse on Saturday, so I think there's still improvement to come there. I thought Isotope looked great in the yard. Look, she's not a very big filly, but she handled the heat well. She was one of the few in the race that weren't sweating. Andermatt did parade well also. So a few ordinary runs, but maybe being on the rail in these shoot races was a massive advantage. Apart from staying inside, we had Eduardo, Seasons and Isotope all rail in these shoot races. So maybe she just got into the best ground, but certainly she finished the race off well. And she can only improve as the races get longer as well. I'm pretty sure she'll handle 1,400. She was a short price favourite in that Magic Millions race when she fell. So, I think it's upside for Isotope, and a few were a bit disappointing behind her.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think there was a few punters who probably would have been having nightmares going back to that Magic Millions race. Mark Rhoden, your thoughts on the race?
Isotope's rated really well. 1, 2, 3 were rails and run, as Mark alluded to earlier. It sort of spooked me a bit, that. I thought, it's not going to be that kind of day, but if it applied to anything, it was the shoot. The track played really fairly in most cases. This new peak for Isotope on mine, and the second horse, Odium, who did have a perfect run as well, and a brave effort from Bella Nipotina. Shout out to a couple of former colleagues of mine in the ownership of Isotope, Jared and Raf. They've got a very nice filly on their hands, and obviously having a lot of fun with it.
Yep. No doubt at all there. Race 2 was the Manion Cup over 2,400, the Group 3, and favourite moon for W.J. Haggis and Karen McAvoy. William Haggis just manages to turn up with one of these horses every year, almost the way it feels, and just completely get rid of the locals. Slow race on the punting form starter, 2.3 lengths slow to the 600. Rob, what did you think of a few of these first-timers that you'd seen?
Look, I thought she looked fit and well, the winner, and I kind of chopped out her because she seemed to just settle beautifully in the run, but it didn't look much more than a Wednesday horse to me. You know, it looked pretty good, but a lot of these are slugs, and I found a couple of, you know, it's not really my horse. I keep backing it this Sacramento, and I can't get a result on it, but I wasn't overly thrilled when it was one out, one back in the run. I know Hush Ryder, the stablemate, they probably had tactics, but it's run well again. It's you got to say it's honest and it's holding its condition. The other bet in the race was Realm of Flowers, which I liked at Randwick when it was on, and it sort of stood out again to me. And it's been unlucky in the run, but to Do's Dart paraded well. Mark Shean, $7. Any much of that yours?
No, I've sacked it completely, and I need someone to have a talk to me for tipping it and keep backing it. Yeah, look, Realm of Flowers probably should have won here. 3 wide all the way. Probably wasn't the place to be, although Polly Gray won sitting 3 wide, but it had a very tough run, and obviously being aimed at the Sydney Cup, and that's a pretty good Sydney Cup lead-up. Agree with Sacramento, wasn't able to get to his preferred role as pacemaker, and also wet track certainly against him. Away from that, the winner did look very forward and handled the heat quite well. And got a beautiful ride and a beautiful run. So things fell into place for it, but I think if you're on Realm of Flowers, you would have been straight to the sick bowl.
Exactly right. Mark Rhoden, you were on the winner, fortunately. What's your thoughts on the rest of the slugs?
Well, Realm of Flowers is probably the only one I want anything to do with going forward, but that's hardly an original thought. She is now favourite for the Sydney Cup. No one's missed that. I assume there'll be a jockey change. If there isn't, we might be able to bet against her again, but I assume there will be. I actually backed the Haggis' thing in this race last year, Young Rascal, I think is its name, who won it. So I've had a bit of luck with that stable first up, but then I, of course, gave it all back on the stablemate two races later.
Okay, we will get to that race, but before we do, we've got the Epona over the 1900 metres, Group 3. Very fast tempo here, 6 lengths fast to the 600 on Punting Forms data. Rob Scurry, run us through some of these horses.
Yeah, look, after Realm of Flowers, I was feeling a pretty hard done by and wondering where my day was going, and then this nightmare of a race pops up, and you're trying to find something. I thought Polly Gray looked as good as she's been. She looked perfect. She's kind of a rangy, lightly framed thing. So you wouldn't say a typical kind of soft track horse, but never better. Really tricky race. I landed on the Australian Bloodstock horse here, number 9, Attention Run. Just thought it like strengthened up. This setup had worked for it in the past. It had Barrier 1. I think we had the first 2 race winners with Barrier 1. So, you know, I'm searching for it, trying to find something for the punters. And when my second or third pick Polly Gray won, I didn't know where my looked like my golden slipper day was down the toilet.
Okay, Mark Shean, what did you make of this nightmare of the race, as Rob called it?
Oh, She's Ideal should have pissed him, to put it bluntly. It should have won by 5 or 6 lengths, honestly. Badly held up on the rail. Not much he could do about it. I know Collett does go looking for these inside runs, but he was jammed up in a bad spot. She's made up a lot of ground without a lot of urging in the straight. He didn't even pull the whip. Of course, it looked like it was a forlorn task once she got out and the others were rolling. Winner's done a good job because 3 wide all the way, and the only horse to sit 3 wide and win all day. So they were pretty packed up just behind the winner, but She's Ideal should have won.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, they've gone really fast here. Can we make a case for a horse maybe like Lelude going forward? I mean, it's stuck on pretty well given the tempo up front.
Yeah, possibly. She's honest. She's actually rated to her best with me anyway, so that's a tick if you think she was unsuited by having to do a bit of work pace-wise. Yeah, She's Ideal unlucky again. That's her though, isn't it? She obviously, I mean, if you just take her figures, she must have another level in her, you know, when things go right for her. But, you know, she was $2.30 SP on Saturday. The market's never really going to miss her, I think. She's just got such a SP profile about her and keeps finding bad luck. So I don't know exactly how we're going to get something out of her or when. But, not a great deal to say about the others. I was on a tension run as well. Thought it set up beautifully for her, but she was pretty disappointing. And, she's ideal. Just got stuck in between some slow ones, unfortunately, and that was the end of it for her.
All right. Race 4 is when the action really started to heat up. The Ranvet over 2,000 metres, the Group 1, slow tempo, no real surprise, just a moderate-sized field. 3.3 lengths slow to the 600. Rob Scurry, very elegant, is one of your favourite horses to spot in the yard, but you also had a Deeb to compare to, so Dragonet, Colette, there's a lot going on, but what did you think of the main fancies in particular?
Well, I described a Deeb as like a proper weight for age horse. Maybe like my boyfriend, Avilius, would be kind of look at home in anywhere in the world. But he didn't look like a world beater, and very elegant. I'd never seen her parade better. Her coat, you could eat off it. It was just, she was just perfect. She's won 8 Group 1s now and over shorter distances, soft track. I just thought she had to have a go. Why not? A Deeb looked very forward, very strong, very relaxed, very professional. Sir Dragonet was towy, and I think it's the first time I've seen him. He was a towy kind of rangy horse. I think he's maybe not finished developing. Angel of Truth looked outstanding. I've never seen Master of Wine look as good. Colette seemed to hold. Natoya looked fantastic. Miami Bound got a bit hot late. Cliffs of Moa, no, but fair play to him, picking up some prize money.
Yep. Mark Shean, your thoughts on the first 2 across the line?
Well, hard to be against the winner. She's very honest. She's a fighter. Deeb, a little bit concerning that it was declared a 1-5 lame on Friday. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence. He came into the yard and, as Rob said, looked very forward. And as soon as he came into the yard, there was a lot of money for him. But very elegant, paraded, fantastic as well. So not much I can add. I think everyone's watched the race and got their own opinion. Maybe a day wasn't quite at 100%, sounding, the fact that he's gone into that slightly lame, but then past fit, it doesn't give you a lot of confidence, does it?
No, it doesn't. Mark Rhoden, what did you think of what the market was doing over the last half hour leading up into the race?
It was interesting. Well, very elegant from Friday and through Saturday morning was the popular one because of the news about Darby, I think. But then it certainly swung back late in Darby's favour. Obviously, the parade had something to do with that. The thing about this race, to me, is I don't think they've gone very well at all. I mean, Angel of Truth has got too close to them. I know he had a picnic in front, Angel of Truth, but he's got too close to them for mine. And on my figures, very elegant, not raced to her best. Adayeva's raced about 4.5 lengths off what I think he did in the UK. And it looks at a glance at Punting from this morning that they're in agreement. I think they've got very elegant figure and Adayeva's 2 miles off its best. So I was on Adayeva. I'd already backed it. I just had a bet on it. I didn't completely, load the cannons on him, but I just wanted to be on him. I thought he had an edge on our weight for age form. I still think he does at his best. I just think he's failed on Saturday, possibly because of the plating and lameness issue he had on during the week. And if he returns to his best in the QE, he will win. I'm still convinced he's the best of this lot. That said, very elegant on figures can go better than that as well. So it could be in for another great race.
As a fan, does anyone like the idea of very elegant going to the Arc on a soft track with Chris overseeing his finest hour, uncle, winning an Arc de Triomphe? She any hope?
Look,
8-time
I'd
Group
say
1.
She's about 2 to 3 lengths off a horse like So You Think was at his best.
Yeah, okay.
And that would lead me to think that she wouldn't be winning an Arc.
Yeah, he came 4th, I think, but
yeah.
The trouble with these going forward is that there's not much new blood, is there? There's only possibly Mugger 2.
Yeah.
Who, he's gone to another level and was unlike Cox Plate. So
Yeah.
But there's no, you're not getting horses if you're overseas. You're not getting horses from England, Ireland. It's the same group going to be going around.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that Very Elegant can go better than that. She's gone better than that in the past, but there was just figures-wise, there was nothing really to like about Saturday's race at all.
Yep. Just going quickly through her career, Mark Rhoden, that's the first time she hasn't returned a double-figure or double-digit result on punting forms data in her last 10 starts, basically. I'm excluding the first up run this preparation where it was just a farcically slow tempo, but yeah, certainly that performance is probably about 3 lengths off what you'd be expecting her to return based off that tempo.
Oh, that's almost, I would say, yeah, well, it's 2.5 on mine, so we're almost identical there.
Okay, let's look at the Rosehill Guineas, race 5. Moanga finally got a result there for that horse, but Skylab, geez, I mean, it was a incredibly tight finish there. Even tempo, 1.2 lengths faster, 600. Montefilia was close up in third. Rob Scurry, run us through these top line horses.
Top line ish. I was surprised. I'm kind of proud of myself. I found Skylab on top. He just seemed to be thriving through the prep. And, he's an angular, classic kind of old school staying look about him. He doesn't look like the modern horse. The sprinter bred, out of the sprint. I think he's the one, and he didn't quite have a spot. The barrier was always there, but I just thought he just looked sensational for him. And I'm always going to take on Moanga, even though he looked trained to the minute. He's still kind of lightly framed. He still gets toey. These are not traits of a Group 1 kind of horse. Dicko's horse Quay kind of looked really well, had a really good condition on it, so she was like a small play in the race. But yeah, I was mainly on Skylab, and I wasn't too upset that it got beat. Moanga, girl power to her. Annabelle Nation obviously can train, get some good horses too, and yeah, hats off.
Mark Shean, it feels like Skylab's been a common thread for this show over the last couple of months. Did you stick that once again with that horse?
I was on it, yeah. My son was on it in the futures for a big result. I backed it in the Derby, not the Rosehill Guineas. But anyway, I was on it on Saturday. I wasn't on it in the futures, but I backed it on the day. I just think Moanga got the drop on him. He had to sort of take the ball up himself 3 wide. And I think that was the difference in winning and losing. Moanga just got on the back of him and tagged him all the way, and then Montefilia tagged them. I think if that possibly was reversed, he may have got the money. But anyway, what can you do? Moanga just sprinted better than him at the finish. And just interesting to now whether he goes to the Derby. As Rob said, he's only very lightly framed horse. I think personally I would be having a throw at the stumps of the Doncaster with 49.
What are you doing?
The first 3-year-olds win the Doncaster with more weight than this. I think that'd be a perfect race for him myself.
What are you doing? You're a masochist. You're on in the Derby, aren't you? Don't you want this horse to go to the Derby?
I'm on Skylab in the Derby.
So, yeah.
I don't want Moanga going.
Oh, sorry. It is self-interest. Sorry, I thought you were saying Skylab into the...
No, but I think Moanga would have a great chance in a handicap.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you meant Skylab, and you're doing it.
No, I'm not that stupid.
But you must have been happy with how he's trained on Skylab. He's looking sensational.
No, he's held his condition great. He looks great in the coat. I thought he was the pick of the yard myself.
Yeah.
Montefilia, I think she's strengthened up. She did run a good race. She was jumping from 14 to 2,000.
Yep.
Interesting that she's going to go straight to the Derby now and then the Oaks after that. So that certainly adds more interest for the Derby as well.
Mark Rhoden, what are we doing with this race from a data point of view? Because it's the weakest race in terms of the winning figure on the entire card. They've got an even tempo and just haven't really looked like they've finished off, so to speak. And there's a huge tail to this in terms of the beaten margins. So it is a bit of a confusing race to just pick apart on first glance.
Oh, well, that's the 3-year-old division this year, isn't it? There's not a great deal of guts to it. I think the first 3 have all run, certainly well enough to be competitive against their own age again, and perhaps Moanga, with a big weight drop. He's rated as well as he would have last time with a clear run, I would say, on my stuff, the way I do it. I think Montefilia is ticking over beautifully. I think she is a chance in the Derby, and Skylab had to go first. And he also announced himself as belonging in this grade on Saturday. He's threatened to do that all through this preparation, and he did make the step. And he had the toughest run of the three of them, arguably. So he's right in it. If they all met in the Derby, if Moanga does go to the Derby, I would rather be on second and third, especially as it looks like Moanga's currently favourite. So I think the others around the $8 mark. They'd entice me more than Moanga in the Derby, if that's where they all meet. And then, of course, we've got the New Zealander to muddy the waters coming over as well. So, but look, it's just not a vintage 3-year-old year, and that probably explains what you're seeing with the data there.
Okay. We'll go to the George Ryder 1500 Group 1 Race 6, very slow tempo, 6.5 lengths slow to the 600 on Punting Forms data, so incredibly slow. Rob Scurry, is it vision and power? Now, can you explain what that means for me?
Well, I think Mark Shean will remember vision and power. I think he's a Joe Pride. Was he a Joe Pride horse, Mark?
Yeah, he won a Doncaster.
And he won the Ryder. He's like a journeyman. He came out of nowhere, and he won 2 Group 1s on suitable tracks for him, and everyone thought he'd sort of reached his ceiling. So I kind of thought Think It Over had a similar kind of feel about it. I thought he was suited on the wet track, and I was a bit. I thought I can't back Avilius unless he's $10. He's going to get back. So he seemed to take a lot of market percentage. And then the mare of Chris's just always gets hot, never parades like a Waller horse should. I've got a bit lucky because the old champ Dreamforce is just about won, and he looked fit and strong, and I've missed him, so I got a result there. But yeah, I just thought this horse had improved. Think It Over. I didn't even think about Bossy. I just wanted to bet around the hole in the percentage, and we had a few cracks at it. Gem Song looked superb again, so I thought he had to go in. Mizzy paraded really well. She seems to run badly, and Dawn Passage was the other one I thought looked really good. So yeah, I just thought we'd have a few running for us, and Bossy doing me a favour. Love him.
Yep, absolutely. He's good in a Group 1, isn't he, Mark Shean?
He certainly is. Well done to Rob to find this. It's probably the best Think It Over that's ever looked, in my opinion. He did get a charm run on the rail, but he did get back in the field, and he's run a great sectional to come home and win here. So nothing against him at all, but Avilius was certainly unlucky. There's no doubt about that. With a clear passage, had he maybe stayed back on the inside rather than trying to come off the rail, I think he would have won, and that just goes to show you where our top horses, the level they're at, because Avilius hasn't won since John Howard was Prime Minister.
He's a grand horse, though, Avilius.
Look, he is, but he still hasn't stuck his head out for a while, has he?
I know. But nothing makes me more upset with Godolphin than when they start to run this horse on a good 4, I know the Princess has got a tale of woe, but, Avilius on a hard track is absolutely grinds my gears.
And you see Cascadian coming down the outside too, as well. Like it's a double whammy.
Yeah, talk us about the figures for Cascadian. I think he's run the best of the day, hasn't he, Pete?
Oh, I mean, look, do I describe this race as being a 400-metre race or a 500-metre race? Cascadian, Avilius, Think It Over, Dreamforce have all just recorded really big last 400-metre splits. But I mean, take it to the bank, Mark Rhoden. I mean, like, what are you doing with those figures going forward?
I don't know. The whole thought of the race makes me feel violently ill, to be honest. To start, I backed Funstar after telling the connections to retire after her first up run. And here I am 2 starts later backing it. I mean, how stupid can you be? Anyway, we'll put that to one side. I backed Think It Over at 33 to 1 last start, and it wouldn't run past I Am Frigging Superman. So here we go. And I thought doing the form was hard enough when you have to consider factors from the last month, 6 months, 12 months. And Rob's inventing a scenario in which a horse reminds him of another horse that won 12 years ago in the same race. Picking up with backing us at 40 to 1. It's I thought it was tough enough to start with, but that's as good as it gets, Rob. That is as good as it gets.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'd taken a walk after the previous race on Skylab and got myself together, and and I didn't even think Bossy was just doing Bossy. I think some bloke out of the crowd, hey Bossy, can I have a photo? He came over, took a photo with him. What a champ he is.
The planet's aligned.
Yeah, love Bossy. Champion.
Just loves it.
He's gone to a new level. I think it's over. I mean, Kerry Parker's been very bullish about the horse all prep. I said after last time I didn't know where you go with him because his handicap rating's so high, he's going to have to perform in either Group 1 handicaps or weight for age races, and he's come out and won a Group 1 weight for age in the very next start. Massive odds.
Well, I said the same after the Craven Plate. I said, you're going to be hard to place now when he's coming Ryder. So.
Unbelievable.
Well, remember, I said he was a lay when he won first up at 6 years. The only horse I couldn't back from the yard. But yeah, he's just improved again. And Mark Shean, going back 25 years, is Kerry Parker the trainer of Barishnikov before he went to Gerald Ryan, the grey for Arrowfield in about 96? Is it?
I wouldn't think so, no. I don't think so.
Okay.
He wouldn't have trained for Arrowfield, I don't think so. No, Arrowfield had Barishnikov. I don't think there's any way he would have been training for them.
I think it's a Parker. Anyway, I haven't Googled it, but it's been in the back of my mind. But I think it was a Parker who had Barishnikov before Gerald had it, because he definitely went from someone to Gerald. You know,
if you know the
96.
I remember watching last week, so I don't want to be.
I still remember how they paraded in 96.
That you're the only one on earth, Rob, but that's why we got you.
Flying Spur. No. Speaking of Flying Spur, could get the old boner out when he was a young buck, and our boy didn't hear in the Golden Slipper. He paraded outstanding again. I'm half dirty on myself. I didn't go harder anyway. Lead us into it.
The Group 1 Golden Slipper, 1,200 metres, very fast tempo for the class, 6.8 lengths faster to 600. Rob, you're talking about stay inside. Talk to us about stay inside.
Well, we've been on this horse every start, and he looked great. He's got two handlers, which I don't always, it's usually a bit of a worry. But yeah, he looked like he's held his condition. And I was just peering. I was looking for a lick of any like lather or sweat on him, and it just wasn't there. And I was waiting for him to crack the old fella, and he didn't do that. And if it wasn't for buddy Uncle's horse looking so well, the 6 Home Affairs, maybe would have gone a bit harder, because this has destroyed them. It's way too good, way too good. And he was run to suit. I think the soft track helped him. There were some great runs in the race, but I think we're on the right track. He was a proper colt. He was a 5-unit play when he was unlucky at shorter odds. So, after thinking over, I was half dirty. I didn't go a little bit harder here. But yeah, it was great. The big improver for me from the yard was the 11 Captive On. He's always looked like a kind of a group, one of the best types, and he's. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the size market, but I think he'd be right there, 1,400.
Okay. Mark Shean, run us through the race. You've obviously backed first, second, and fourth in the futures markets. Do you have anything going forward from this race?
Well, we just have to see whether Stay Inside goes to the size. Most Golden Slipper winners never win another race, so so that's something to look forward to. Animo was outstanding. He absolutely went to pieces in the yard just when they went onto the track. He lost it at the barrier draw on Tuesday, basically. If he was able to capitalise on a better draw, he would have been very hard to beat. But as I said, he's been up for a little while now, and that run might have taken a bit out of him, considering the way that he sweated up before the race. And this Artorias, well, he doesn't know if he's got the left blinker on or the right blinker on. It was an amazing run. He did this in the trial on the steeple track also at Ranvet, where he was just all over the shop, and he hasn't really adapted to the Sydney way as yet. But he may get away with it at Ranvet, say at 1,600 metres. I think that would be ideal for him if he can make it that far. But Profiteer, well, he's probably 2 bad runs away from going to start, isn't he?
I heard Stay Inside. I'm praying from self-interest that they're going to spell Stay Inside. I saw an interview with Lizzie and Michael saying, want to look after him and make him a $100 million colt.
Well, he's still not very big, is he? He's got a lot of filling out to do or growing to do. He's not overly big. He's brought to you by Extreme Choice, who was a pretty...
Squib. I said extreme. I said he'd do no good.
It'll be interesting to see how he develops, but there is that hanging over the head of the slipper winners going on. They very rarely train on.
Mark Rhoden, is it as simple to say that you could only follow 2 of these horses next start going up in distance?
Anamoe and Captivant and, Artorias as well.
Artorias is the one.
Right.
I think that's probably the main one going through the line.
Further as well. The last, what was it? The last three, the previous three slipper winners had led all the way, hadn't they? I know the drought for slipper winners goes back longer than that, but this one has a bit more of a foolproof racing style, I think, and there is a very good chance he goes on as a 3-year-old and be the first slipper winner to do so for some time. And the second horse is very much in the same boat going forward to next season. So we might have a couple of handy ones, and it might not finish there either, but we might have a decent 3-year-old class next year, which would be good to see. I missed it. I've been a fan of him all the way through, and I haven't backed him, so I'm very disappointed about that. But great little lesson there for doing a slipper form. He put in the peak performance in the what was it, the silver slipper, or what did he win? 2 starts?
Lonro. I think it's a Lonro, or
what did he win 2 starts back? Yeah. Then he's been totally unsuited last time. Rating understandably has dropped, and he's peaked again on grand final day. If you've got a 2-year-old in the hands of a good camp like this one is, that's probably the best pack going into a slipper over the journey. I know Farnan just kept winning last year, but in most cases you'd like to see them have half a, just come off it a little bit and then peak again on grand final day. I invented that case for ingratiating in here, but it probably had too long a prep and not as good as the winner anyway. But,
you'd love to know the true story why J Mac got off this horse, wouldn't you?
That's bizarre, isn't it? Because, he was the key reason for his poor performance last start, rather than anything the horse did, I thought.
Maybe it was Coolmore influence, I'm not sure. But it was certainly a strange decision.
Tommy put it in a beautiful spot. He drew it perfectly too. I suppose anyone would have won on it, but having a good day, Tommy.
Should have been a bigger push from me. I was still in like a glow from thinking it over. I didn't quite pay for it.
They were signing up to get autographs off you by that race.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was going to say, you can't have the same thoughts about this race, Rob. The Galaxy, Eduardo, once more, there he is. Fast tempo up front, 2.1 lengths fast to the 600. He's completely killed them. Run us through. You used the term explosive, did you not?
Yes, that's a new one for subscribers. I haven't used it before, but this horse looked like every inch of him. He just was like a ball of pent up bloody energy. And I didn't. I know when I called Mark, he said, this horse is off a peak, and generally off a peak is not a good idea. But I just had to back him, and I had to save on the good thing of the day, Brion. Yeah. She looked like the perfect Waller horse. Like, she's kind of lightly framed, but she just had that right amount of condition and just walked around with such a dude, cool, just perfect. Everything that Funstar doesn't do, she does right in the Waller fashion. So she had to be the saver. It's hard to pick holes in these horses on looks. But yeah, he looked explosive. And as I think I mentioned to you guys, at the 300, I was howling. Nash hadn't moved, and I think I said in the ring, "It's over. It'll let him go," and it just happened like I thought. So I was half dreaming, and it was so sweet to watch. And funnily enough, my builder's best mates owns it. My mum's brother's mate has got a share in it as well. It's meant to be, but not that affected my decision to back it on the weekend. The horse just looked incredible. And is this another case of Joe Pride getting an older horse, a la Vision and Power, Red Oog? Maybe this guy is an absolute genius with tried horses. I don't know, but the horse is the fastest horse in the world.
Exactly right. Mark Shean, what are your thoughts on Eduardo?
Well, he just went outstanding. I think the rail was certainly the place to be, definitely the last 2 races, and particularly in this race, but I don't think it would have mattered where he was, actually. He's gone out in blistering tempo. He's run 63 something on a slow track and just caned them. Can he do that at 1,200 metres against the other sprinters? Well, he's just been short of that in the past. Classique Legend, I think, beat him at 1,200 at Randwick. He then failed at 1,300 behind Hawkbury on her and G3 in that race after the Everest, where he was probably given a big task there. He went out at blistering speed. So if he can be ridden controlled, he's obviously right up there on this form with Nature's Strip and the others going forward into the TJ.
Exactly right. Do we know if Joe Pride is using the world's best sprinter tag again?
I think he did use it, and Rob's taken it as well.
Yeah. It's a gelding, though, unfortunately.
Oh, that's okay.
So you or him?
His way. Mark Rhoden, is it fair to say that the rest of these haven't necessarily performed poorly? It's just that the winner's gone absolutely outstanding, and although he hasn't returned the same figure that he returned last start, he's gone within 2.4 lengths on punting form starter. So he's backed up that enormous peak, and that was obviously everyone's concern going into this race. But he's done almost the same again.
Yeah, I've got him going the same actually on mine, the way I do it. So remarkable performance for a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Was it you, Rob, who pointed out to me that this is probably his first full prep for Joe Pride?
Yep.
Had the benefit of a spell, and
Maxie, who works for him, was keen to tell me that. Maxie, he loves Joe, and I also got. I think when I spoke to you, I got a word that Joe was bullish about this horse. I just I overheard it just next to Robbie Waterhouse there. Some proper punter, just a little bit of info you heard, and then he came out and he just looked like.
Yeah, if you just plugged in the numbers they'd all done in their last start or two, you would have had him clear favourite, because that run against Nature's Strip was extraordinary. But I had to take it back off that. It was first up for a start. It was a big new peak, about 4 lengths better than anything he'd ever done before, and he's come out and held it. Usually, when you're talking about horses off big peaks, you're talking about short price favourites, and this wasn't the case. So, in retrospect, you could say, well, he started $5.50, but when he was $7-8, you probably shouldn't be losing on him, because he did have the best figure in the race. But I was prepared to look around him. I thought Hawkbury on her was a great bet, and yeah, he's just ripped it to shreds. And it was, once I spoke to Rob, it was all going wrong for me, I thought, because you just, first word you said was explosive about Eduardo. Oh dear, you might be a chance of backing us up. The market just kept coming for him. He shortened and shortened and shortened. And you waited till the 300-metre mark to start celebrating. I thought the race was over after about 200.
Yeah, really.
He was humming along. Very fast horses like Fabrizino couldn't go with him. Yeah. And I thought the race was over well before the halfway mark.
In play? What were you taking? Evens?
That's probably his right price.
Yeah, probably. Well, I reckon he could have gone faster. He's pretty soft on him late. And it's Nash, Nash
it certainly spices up the TJ, that's for sure. That's going to be a really good race.
Yeah. Absolutely. Birthday card rounded off the card there on Saturday, and Seasons came off a fast tempo, 3 lengths faster, 600. Got the job done, 2.3 lengths. Rob Scurry, run us through the fillies and mares.
Yeah, look, half kicking myself. Yeah, we're back second and third, Tricky Girl and Wonder Bar. But when I spoke to Mark, I said Seasons, yeah, it's really good for her. And he's like, I backed that. I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good bet. And I failed to listen. But yeah, it was written beauty. I was half hoping to see something, but it wasn't there. She didn't look much good to me. Every Rose looked like it improved. Finally got fit, but that 3-year-old form, who knows? But yeah, Seasons never paraded better, but never one of mine. Emanate looked well, but doesn't look like a world beater. Wonder Bar looked fantastic for her, never better. She's run really well here. But yeah, well done, Mark. Rhoden, you and Shean, I think you both tipped Seasons, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, what a goose I am.
And Mark Shean, you were happy to lay Written Beauty well and truly before the race as well?
Yeah, well, I was lucky. I got this race right. I laid Emanate as well and found Seasons and had something on Wonder Bar each way. So it was a good race for me, but there were plenty of bad races before that. I think the rail was a massive advantage for Seasons here. She just railed up into a beautiful spot. I thought Wonder Bar, from the pattern of the day out of the chute, she's run outstanding. You couldn't be 4 wide in those chute races, and and come down the outside and make ground. And Either Way's run a great race as well. So I think they're actually 2 horses to follow. Season's just got the charm run. Look, she's looked like being anything early on in her career, and then she had a bit of a lull there for a while, but Les looks to have got her back on track now.
Yes, Mark Rhoden, that's probably the way that this race looks to unfold, isn't it? You know, horses that were suited on the day versus horses that weren't suited on the day, and then going forward, it might very well switch around for them.
Yeah, it could do. Seasons has come back flying. She was really good first up too. Had conditions to suit on Saturday, but raced really well. Yeah, good to get a winner after it'd been a trying day for me too. So this eased the pain somewhat. I hadn't backed Wanda Bar, but when it got out to the price it did later, I had to back it. I didn't back it each way because I'm not that clever. But that was a hell of a run. And I said after its first up run, which was also at Rosehill, over 1100, we'd get it at Ranvet. There's got to be a race for it at Ranvet, and she could be a good thing.
Okay, very good. That brings us to the end. I'll get some horses to follow from each of you. Mark Shean, I'll start with yourself.
Yeah, well, I thought Wonderbar and Either well, they'll be going to those mares races at Ranwick. I can't think of the name of them now, but
Emancipation.
Sorry, mate.
Emancipation.
No, that's a mile. So these are more for the sprint horses. She's ideal if she goes to maybe the St Ledger or something like that. I think would probably be hard to beat, and that's about it, really.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, couple to follow for yourself.
Obvious ones, I suppose, were Realm of Flowers and Skylad. Maybe a bit less obvious, and she didn't actually savage line or anything, but I'd be forgetting of Welsh Legends run in the second. She just walked out of the gates, and after she was 1-1 or something last time, she was stone others last, so I'd be forgetting of her.
Okay, and Rob Scurry, a couple to follow from the yard.
I'm going to mirror Mark. I was on Welsh Legend, so yeah, I think she can certainly improve. And Skylab, I said you had nothing to worry about in the slipper, Mark Shean, with your bets, and I think you're on the winner in the Derby as well. Well, I haven't said it's going to win, but just my opinion.
Boys, tick it off in there.
I would, yeah. I'd be
well, he's cashed up. He should have plenty to spend.
Yeah. I'll take a share, mate. Happy to take a share and take a let's negotiate.
All right. Well, you've got the week ahead to think about it anyway. Newcastle Tuesday, Warwick Farm Wednesday, Gosford Thursday. Nothing on Friday. It's Good Friday. You can join me at Ascot and Kalgoorlie if you want. Then Saturday, Kembley Grange and Rosehill for the Tancred, the Vinery. Mark Shean, another solid week of racing ahead.
Yes, they've added this extra meeting in the last couple of years after Golden Slipper Day, weakened Golden Slipper Day to get another meeting in. So I think Golden Slipper Day in the old was probably the best day in Sydney with the BMW and the Storm Queen and all those races on. The Neville Selwood Welter, the first of the day. But anyway, they've whacked the next meeting on. It was comfortable there on Saturday. Actually, normally Golden Slipper Day, you're 1,000,000 to 1 at seeing a race live. But COVID days now, you can wander around and actually see a race, which is great.
Mark Rhoden, it certainly is. But for yourself, just another busy week. You can probably get another meeting in there on Friday, I'm sure, and you can just be working daily.
Yeah, why not? Well, I've got a bit of ground to make up for Saturday. The Kenzo meeting was okay for me last Thursday, but I wasn't happy with the way I handled it on Saturday, so keen to get back on the right side of the ledger.
And Rob Scurry, we'll see you on course on Saturday once again.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I think we've got a good week of weather, so yeah, it should be good day out there.
All right, beautiful guys. Thanks for joining us on Victims of the Punt. We'll be joining next week to review Rosehill once more. Until then, go well.